In the final data fragment, Seshat and Tojiro discuss the Book of Revelation. They're not sure if it's a prophecy or just a plan, but it's going to be used by some enemy of their Order of Prometheus. How did they come to that conclusion? They found a well-hidden document, but they don't know who hid it or why. Their reasoning must be based on what they already know about their enemy before finding Revelation. The enemy of Prometheus should hint at the goals of Prometheus, and vice versa. Prometheus's goals are canonically confusing. Twice, Seshat explains to her underlings why they are mistaken about what they should be doing. So we readers might get confused too, but let's try to figure it out anyway. Both times Seshat rebuffs the idea of stopping World War IV. Stopping a war like that may be among Prometheus's goals, but it's not the most important one. Seshat and Gray agree that Prometheus must protect wisdom and use it to save humanity when the time comes. But we don't know what wisdom is, when the right time is, or even what saving humanity really means. Now, the three kings are often connected with World War IV. Could they be the Revelation enemy? They do talk about using God's plan, and Gray supposedly lays out some large plan ahead of time. If the data fragment happens before this, then his predictions could be based on Revelation. But I doubt it. It just seems to me that Seshat is very concerned about stopping the Revelation enemy, but not that concerned about stopping the three kings. When speaking with the suspiciously well-sprited, black-suited men, Seshat goes into a little bit more detail. World War IV is necessary to avoid the end of civilization. Civilization progresses constantly, like riding a unicycle, but this progress leads to some end. At the end, they come and reap everything. That's of some interest, but again, much of the meaning is unclear. What sort of progress does civilization so predictably make? Who are they? What is this harvest festa? All we're told is it's less humane than World War IV. The three kings mention something similar. They need to reset civilization to push its end further away. They also say humanity always progresses towards some implicitly terrible thing and needs to keep getting pushed back. Maybe there isn't enough information yet to understand this. It could be a mystery box to keep us interested in the rest of the story. But if we can figure it out now, I'd say the end of civilization refers to the factory world. There are two visions of the factory world in the story, and I'd say the second is much more relevant in this case. The first vision, in Chapter 13, Proof of a Program, is a scene of horror. The second vision, in Chapter 18, God's Scenario, shows up without much context and has a different perspective. It seems to describe the same sort of world, but there is a voice describing why it's a good thing, trying to get people to accept their situation. It says that this is necessary for the continuation of human evolution, and that this is the fulfillment of paradises long promised by various human religions. You might say this voice is God's messenger. Those ideas mesh well with what Seshat and Tojiro seem to know about their enemy before finding Revelation. If they already knew that there will be this voice claiming to satisfy religious claims, and then they find a hidden religious document, it could make sense to draw a connection. Prometheus wants to make sure civilization doesn't progress too far, whereas the voice describes humanity evolving as far as it can. These sound like opposed concepts. Even if the second vision fits well, there's still the question of how Prometheus ever saw it, and why they believe it shows the future. The three kings are also trying to forestall the end of civilization, so it seems they've somehow seen it too. And even if they do believe in it, what are they going to do about it? What sort of progress are they trying to reverse? I view it in pragmatic technological terms. The factory world doesn't seem technologically possible with what's shown in Phase 1, if only because people shouldn't be able to survive that process, as I've discussed in my zombie apocalypse video. So, one form of progress that's needed to reach the factory world is technological advancement. I believe the three kings take a Luddic approach, trying to minimize and regress science and technology. As they say, they want to return humanity to sticks and stones, and that Noah's Ark failed because he let craftsmen on board. On the other hand, the Order of Prometheus does not mind technological advancement, but wants to hoard and control it. Seshat jealously guards what some call wisdom, which is said to be beyond humanity's level. I believe this simply means technology that is not widely known to exist. It could be hypothetical, or it could be cutting edge and rare. From most people's perspective, the two are the same. It's like that famous Clark quote, or that alleged Gibson one. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. The future is already here, it's just not very evenly distributed. Seshat does intend to make use of her technical edge, but only when it becomes absolutely necessary. After all, if something becomes publicly known, it's not beyond humanity's level anymore, and its use can spread and evolve. It becomes a new technological plateau that's hard to back away from. It is ironic that an order named after Prometheus would be stingy with gifts like this, but that may also be why Seshat's underlings are continuously confused by her behavior. While I'm on the topic, here are a few stray thoughts on some other ways to interpret this looming end of civilization. This end is usually treated as the opposite extreme of extinction. Extinction is when the population reaches zero, so maybe the other extreme is overpopulation. Population growth is a fairly predictable form of progress. Overpopulation is an abstract, passive problem, very unlike the factory world vision, but maybe I'm just getting mixed up between meta-world and real-world concepts. It is right in the name, the stork, which brings humanity's doom, which is just an excess of humanity. Also, the story repeatedly mentions how you can only have so many people in a single virtual chat room. If you believe that all of Ciconia is happening in a simulation, it could have a similar problem. It can only handle so many people. Here's yet another idea. Seshat describes civilization as a unicycle, constantly moving forward. I've never heard this metaphor before, so it stood out to me, and it shows up a second time in Data Fragment 12, Siblings Day. There, it says capitalism is like a unicycle, and inequality continuously increases. Are these two ideas supposed to be related? One of the benefits of a virtual existence is that there is no material scarcity. Virtual objects can be created at will and are not scarce like physical things, so material inequality can't exist. If vast swaths of humanity find themselves materially deprived compared to others, they may demand virtualization. But maybe there's no significance to this phrase being used twice. Anyway, that scratches the surface of the Order of Prometheus, but there are many more details to understand. Where did they get their information? What actions do they take to further their plans? The same could be asked of the Three Kings. And then there is the mysterious and powerful Grand Master, Seshat herself. Ciconia is a deep well of mystery. Let's dive in.